Greetings everyone, welcome to my sketchbook. This is Monday morning. There are 3 more sleeps until Christmas Day. I have an idea, which I got from doing some research to find out when a bakery was to close, and I went to Google and I saw what they did with the logo with some Christmas lights. It gave me an idea. Before I get into that, I'm going to talk about this very quickly. Electricity, if you're not familiar with it, do not play around with it. It's very, very dangerous to do so. I live in North America, and this is what a standard outlet looks like. And speaking of standard, most households run on 120 volts here in North America, and also at a current rate of about 60 hertz. That's a frequency, mind you. Now, frequency, of course, is how often you might see something occur within a certain time period. When it comes to hertz in electricity, that's per second. Anyway, so that's just a little bit of rambling on about that. There are 3 main parts of how this circuit would look. This down here, the mouth of this face, this is the ground. And when you're wiring this, this would be the green wire. This smaller of the 2 prong parts of the eyes here, the smaller one here, this is the hot side. This is generally wired with black wire. This is the neutral. This is generally wired with the white wire. On the back of this, ground is green. This one here, which would be the neutral, this is kind of a silvery kind of screw, and this one here, which is hot, is kind of like a kind of brass color in a way. So yeah, that's the basic layout of that. I'm going to draw one of the older style ones because I think that'd be kind of interesting. And again, if you're not familiar with electricity, do not play around with it. It can be pretty dangerous. I'm going to open up my inkwell here. Okay. Dip my pen. Let's try to go for this spot here. I'm going to move that roughly there. Lock it down. I'm going to draw a tiny version of the old style. So flat on the top, flat on the bottom, round on either side. And then the ground here, the small eye here for the hot, and a longer one for neutral. I'm going to repeat that because there's 2 per, 2 electrical outlet. Flat on top, flat on bottom, round on either side. Mouth, hot, neutral. All right. Center screw. The new ones have them on top and bottom. The old ones have them in the middle here to hold the plate on. But let's put the plate here. I'm sure a lot of homes still use this one. Looks like that. Put this away, and I'm going to use some permanent markers. These are Sharpies. They claim to be fine point. I'm used to much finer points, but I try to anyway. So I'm going to plug in my Christmas light into the bottom one here. So I'm going to fill this in. That, like that. And then from here, I'm going to do a string of lights, but I'm going to use, rather than the way that Google did it, I'm going to use a string of lights to write a word. So let's do it like this. Just like that. So I spelled Christmas in permanent. Now the reason why I did that in permanent is because my plan is to introduce some water soluble or kind of like watercolor markers, because I have an idea that I'm going to try out. It may look terrible. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a secondary wire over here, and I'm going to make my way back around again, but I'm going to let them kind of like loop funny. And every once in a while, I'm just going to put in a little light socket. And I'll try to alternate from one side to the other. Not perfectly, but, you know, I'll try. Let's go to the outside of that one. I wonder how this is going to look. This is one of the main things I like about sketchbooks, is that it's fun to kind of experiment with this kind of stuff. And you know what? Already I think I see a way of improving this. If this was written a little bit bigger or I had a finer marker, I bet you I could do something a little bit different. But anyway, it's still fun to make these kind of attempts, though. And I want you to know that I'm, you know, a regular human being doing something kind of silly, which I think is kind of important. Okay. Ooh, let's extend that one a little bit. It's okay to make some mistakes, because to err is human, and hopefully you learn from those mistakes. That's ideal. Okay, so that's what I've done with the word Christmas so far. It's interesting. I'm going to put this marker away, and I'm going to try to do this, kind of keep it sort of simple. I'm only going to really use 2 different colors of lights. We need to do gumdrop style and, you know, have blue and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, because I'm just kind of playing around, I'm not going to go too extravagant yet. I'm going to use a different type of green permanent marker. And I'm going to try to alternate a little bit. But not always, because sometimes when lights go out, you would get a bulb that works, and you wouldn't always get the one that alternates perfectly. So sometimes you might end up with 2 colors that are the same right by each other. Not always, but sometimes it could happen. Now, I kind of worry about certain parts of this might not go quite the way I want it to. We'll see how it goes. I may have to highlight something a little bit differently after, because something about this right now, I don't know, we'll see. I don't want to speculate, but I am the person holding the markers, so I don't want to be too out of sync with everything. Okay, well, that's the lighter green. If it was lighter, it'd probably be better. That is okay. Now I'm going to use red. And I'm going to make bulbs. Something that's interesting, and maybe some of you could illuminate me on this. I am not a big fan of blue LED lights. I find that they hurt my eyes. They make things blurry, and I'm not really a fan of that. Now, I don't know if some of you kind of feel the same way or not. You can let me know in the comments if you wish. But I find that they just kind of, yeah, they make things super blurry. This almost looks like I've made some holly. And as I said, I think something distance-wise might be a little askew. Let's go with one there. So yeah, that seems interesting. So yeah, just two basic colors is what I'm starting off with. I may experiment with this a little bit later on and try to figure out a couple other things. This is where I'm adding the water-soluble part and see how this goes. So I'm going to create kind of like a ring, a glow ring around the bulb. And when I get the water to it, it'll create a different effect, I'm hoping. And again, I will say it, do not mix electricity and water. Electricity always looks for the shortest distance to travel in order to ground itself. So that's the green and watercolor marker or water-soluble marker. Let's see how this red looks. And I'm going to create, ooh, I gotta get a different marker. That's horrible what's going on there. Let's try this one. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, electricity always tries to find a shorter distance to get to the ground, if at all possible, which is why you don't golf when there's lightning going on, because you raising your club to the sky, it might look at you as a pathway to get to the ground. Very, very dangerous. All right, so that's what I did. That looks kind of interesting, just like that. That gives me an idea. Before I get into the final part of this, I'm going to use this, my goodness. This is a marker that is acrylic, and I'm going to just kind of add a little bit to the wiring because I want it to kind of stand out, and maybe for the final part I'll do a retrace of the wire anyway, but for this I want this to kind of blend in a little bit. Hopefully it'll blend in just enough, but I want Christmas to stick out. That's important to me. Hopefully it just kind of lightens the wire a little bit too. And maybe I'll regret that. I don't know. Loop. Okay. Just like that. Here we get the cup and water and a brush. And I'm going to do green first, and I'm not going to let the blur overlap with the red right away. I want the red to kind of do that for me. I'm going to treat red like the stronger color, but I'm going to make a glow around each one of the bulbs. I'll let it get close to the red, but I'm not going to overlap them yet. I'll let red do that. This one here is close, but I'm just going to move around. I caught a little corner of that red one there, and I didn't want it to kind of do that yet. That's okay. This is fun stuff for my sketchbook. Oh, I went right to the red there. That was funny. Why did I do that? Oh, hilarious. Probably because I was talking about red. And I just went right to it. So yeah, I'm trying to do green first. And leaving kind of a glowy circle around. I do like the red. That looked kind of cool. I just didn't want to have the colors mixing already, but haha, real time, folks. Real time. Real mistakes. A circular glow, circular glow. And maybe if I would do this again, I would use the watercolor markers separately anyway, and it would prevent me from doing this. So now let's go to the red to get that kind of effect, and I'll let the colors blend a little bit because I think red is a stronger color for that sake. I don't mind the look of that so much. It's funny, in the background here, I have that Monopoly car I didn't take out of the package and hang on my tree. So I'm going to do that probably a little later on today. And yeah, that's really strange that I just left that there, and that was my intention. Plus it looks cool. I like seeing the smaller Monopoly car near it. Now, the center part of the light bulb, where you see little tiny wires on the inside, especially on the old style, you see these little filaments, these little fine wires, where the electricity basically arcs to create light. I kind of like the look of that, actually. That looks kind of neat. All right, let's clean this brush. Set the cup aside. Do I want to revisit any part of this? Maybe. It's still a little bit wet there, but I started on this side. I'm going to retrace some of this because, as I said, I want Christmas to be prominent. I want people to be able to read that. And I have to remember where, in my writing, where these wires would overlap last. So this part here would be over that part there. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind as I go. Same with here, would overlap. So yeah, I definitely do things a little bit differently. I think the next time I would try this, if I'm going to make a custom Christmas card for someone, I would do that a little bit differently. Also, you can let me know in the comments if you have a favorite movie or a favorite thing that you enjoy over the holidays, if you celebrate Christmas, or if you celebrate something else, if you have Festivus or Hanukkah, or you have anything that you would like to sort of share, please do. I think that's really neat. I celebrate Christmas. That's really fun. It's an awesome time to reflect and think about, little baby Jesus and how that human being and the effect of how time on this planet kind of revolves around Jesus. So it's just kind of interesting and awesome. That has more to do with Rome than anything else. I'm going to move this over. I keep sliding that over for some reason. Rome made its way around the world as one of the most powerful empires, and with it they took Christianity with them. Of course, there are other ways too. Now, not everybody in the world celebrates Christmas. So let's see here. That does look interesting. I might want to kind of highlight that down there. I'm going to create a little bit of an eye topper there. I think that's interesting. For a first attempt, I don't mind that so much. It's not quite the same as the way the Google did it. I think there's like yellow and blue and whatever else in there, but that's the idea. A little less than 25 minutes of me rambling on about whatever. And yeah, 3 more sleeps and then it's Christmas Day. So thanks for hanging out. Come back again. We'll do something else kind of fun. And that's it. Ciao for now.